Hey, happy Friday evening. It's quite late actually, but I decided I thought I'd just share a few things with you, primarily around food and recipes, some of my favorite recipes, and a really good go-to site that it was one of the first ones I came across. Yeah, just let me turn down the music. It's one of the first ones I came across when I first started changing into a low-carb way of eating. And it's still one of my go-to ones today, even though I'll actually find a few recipes somewhere else. This one, I like the way that the guy actually cooks. There's a video that goes with it. There's instructions. There's and he's a fun kind of guy as well. So let me just share my screen and let's go browse through one of my favorite low carb keto recipe sites. Okay, I quite like this song, but I'll pause it now and let me go. Okay, so the URL is headbangerskitchen.com, and you can basically put in there, in this search one, just type whatever ingredient that you actually you're interested in, and out pops the recipes that he has. So I've got this on the page of the 90-second almond flour keto bread, because that's like one of the first things that you notice, right, when you're going low carb, and it's like no breads, no flour, those kind of things. So you're looking for alternatives, and what he had there, I thought, wow, this is interesting. That means I could actually I could actually make a bread that would suit my way of eating. And he had this almond flour. It was like the first thing that I actually made. And what was so good about this is that you make it in a cup. So it was like a mug, right? And it's made up of these really simple, just almond flour, salted butter, baking powder, and an egg. And this is what I really like, is just you put all the ingredients into one bowl and then you just mix it all up, right? And then you just put it into a coffee cup, and it's 90 seconds in the microwave, and it comes out, and you just tip it over, and it just falls out of the cup. And then you slice it up, and voila, you have these little bread slices. Now, I don't make that up too often these days. I actually really now. We sort of like go over a bit of it. It is kind of a really dry taste, and I just get to the point. We just get to the point that we don't really miss bread, which is really unusual for somebody who grew up having toast with a lot of spreads all the time. But but this is the first one that I actually started off with. And then he had actually a keto coconut mug bread, which is actually my preference, better tasting than the actual almond flour one. And so we tried that one. Works very similar in the same way. Like if I go down here, see, he's got a good nutritional info here about what the carb level is. The difference between net carbs and carbs, let me see if I can remember. Net carbs is basically taking away the fiber element from it. But really, if you really want to see some dramatic, a lot of weight loss, then you should really look at the carbs, the total carb value. And what they say is like a nice sort of guideline for you to actually lose weight is if you can get down to like maybe a 25 gram total of carbs a day a day. And if you're sort of thinking, well, okay, well, what's 25 grams? Just look at the back of one of your boxes or whatever you've got in your cupboard and look at the carb level, and immediately you'll see, oh, wow, okay, so that's actually quite high. So if I'm going to restrict it down to like 25 grams a day, then to see a dramatic or a very quick weight loss, then you are going to see some results quite quickly. So you look at the total carbs rather than the net carbs in this one. So that's the almond flour, the coconut flour, the breakfast versions, which you basically just enter what breakfast he has, and there's a lot of eggs. Okay, so you can get really sick of eggs at times, but this one, spinach and feta frittata, actually, let's go to the right one. This one here, I made quite a lot of times for breakfast for as a family, right? And we would actually have that, and it's quite a simple type of one where you're mixing up your eggs. You're cooking your bacon first in fat or butter, and then you're removing that, and then you're chopping that up, and then you put your spinach and your eggs, and then you add your feta on top, and so it's like an omelette, right? The way it comes out, it's very tasty. So that would be like our breakfast. Nowadays, I don't really eat breakfast. I don't actually eat till like later in the afternoon, but Dylan, he would, and Mel occasionally has that too. So it's very quick to make. He'll add mushrooms on top of that as well, and capsicum. So you can actually add your own things to it. The other one is, oh yes, because I do have a bit of a sweet tooth still, but as long as it's sort of like basically low carb, then, and you're only eating one a day, then it's not too bad. So that's my favorite, the keto chocolate chip. I have made the keto double chocolate chip. That really, you can't tell the difference. That and just having a normal kind of whatever chocolate chip is really quite decadent. But if we just go down here and check out the nutritional level, see, so that's 8 grams of carbs per serving, which is basically just one of those, which is fine. You just get used to. That's the other thing about it, right? You can make these things and you sort of think, oh gosh, I hope I'm not tempted to actually eat, like I've eaten one and then I eat another one and then another one, which of course, I used to do that. But, and at times, yeah, I will actually probably have a couple of keto chocolate chip in a bowl, but you do learn to curb the quantity of what you eat, and just enjoy what you're actually eating, and then leave the kitchen. Like I said, leave the kitchen and go do something else, right? But I like baking and I do like cooking. So it was nice to actually find something that I could actually bake that you didn't feel too guilty about when you were eating. He does use a lot of peanut butter. I never used to be a big peanut butter person. I would have Vegemite and Marmite, but I started to actually enjoy peanut butter and things. I don't eat jam though, so that's pretty good. I mean, off the jam, there's too much sugar in that one. All right, moving along. This is the other favorite kind of dessert. The keto chocolate chip one is quite a process it takes, and I think the people in the private group, you've got a full video of me actually making that. I can bake it quite quickly now because I just bake it almost every third day. But this one here is actually another family favorite, and it's actually very nice. It's a lemon and thyme mug cake. So if you got those ramekin bowls, they're really nice to actually just put the mixture in and then put them in the fridge. But they really do look like that, and they really taste like that too, especially if you like lemon. I don't put the frostings on anymore. It's just a bit too sweet. The thyme was quite an interesting one because I don't usually add, a herb to a dessert, but this actually really complements it, thyme and lemon. All right, so that's about 6 grams, what you can see here. And the other good thing about it is, even though it actually calls upon all this, the almond flour, that's the sweetener, butter, a bit of the Greek yogurt, egg, vanilla extract, is that it says here, put all the ingredients in a bowl and whisk it. And I love that. Just put it all in a bowl and whisk it. None of that kind of cream the butter first and then add the sugar and then add your eggs one at a time and keep beating. None of that, right? So in terms of convenience, fantastic, right? And then, yeah, I think in the oven, takes only about like 15 minutes, 15. I used to do it in a microwave. He actually says you can do it in a microwave, but it just spilled over. It just spilled over after like 60 seconds, and it was a mess in there. So I thought, nah, the oven's much, I found it more easier. It was easier to actually bake it in there. So that's actually another family favorite. Lemon mug cake. This takes a while to do, but boy, is it tasty. It's the pork spare ribs, and you can just get a rack of ribs, unmarinated, of course, and then cut the ribs up in those individual pieces. If you've got a pressure cooker, then you put it in there, and of course it actually sort of tells you what you're doing in the pressure cooker and adding all these different spices. I've never used so many spices in my life than with this particular recipe, right? So, I mean, things like this, right? The 5-spice powder, which is actually really nice. Cinnamon I've used before. Star anise, I've never used it, but I do for this recipe. Bay leaves, yeah. Peppercorns, ginger and garlic, yep. And that's just for the ribs. But accompanying this is what you cook, because it's like a process where you do it in the pressure cooker first, and then you take the ribs out, and then you put it in a wok, and you're actually browning it, but you're browning it into this keto barbecue sauce. And the sauce, look at all the stuff that's actually required in the sauce, right? Onion, tomato, garlic, yellow mustard, apple cider vinegar, balsamic vinegar, which is the sauce, stevia to give a bit of a, that sort of sweet taste. But you've got the balsamic vinegar too, so it's got that, that sort of sweet and sour type of taste on it. I don't know what that is, but if I've got some hot sauce, or I'll put some red chili peppers in it, chopped up, then I'll put it in there too, and things. Now, he actually adds a bit of alcohol. I think he added a bit of whiskey into it. So it's really up to you whether he does, because he does improvise at times. But it's in his videos, right? And you can see that his videos there, so you can watch him actually cook it. And it gives you a really good idea too. And then, of course, you just follow along with the instructions. But here's the carb value of basically that sauce, 1 gram. That's why it's the keto style. But yeah, no, you take the ribs and you basically turn them over, and you're cooking them in the wok with their barbecue sauce, and they do turn out like that, and they are really, really tasty. Accompanying this is usually a cauliflower rice, and on this site, if I actually go there, I actually do have a cauliflower that I'm going to do a rice thing for. So, but this guy has it here. So I'll do a little video which basically shows, you know, sort of like you're grating it. You get food processors much quicker if you've got one of those. Good on you. But I just grate the cauliflower, and it's basically just shredded into those bits, and then you just pan fry it and cover it up, and just, you know, put your spices, which is usually just a straight out salt seasoning on that one. So that cauliflower rice will usually accompany the pork spare ribs, and it is tasty, very tasty thing. And probably the last one, or one of the favorite ones, are these empanadas. Now, would you believe that that's actually a mozzarella, cheese, and almond flour pastry? And inside is basically mince or beef steak that they've got in there. I tried the beef steak, but you can just put mince and anything else in there. But you make that empanada, and it's a very quick way of actually making it. I think I might actually do that. I think I've got, if you don't have mozzarella cheese, I mean, sometimes I don't. I will just use normal cheese that's grated up, and put that with the almond flour, and then you put it in the microwave, sort of 30 seconds at a time, and then you mix it up with egg and a baking powder, I think, and then you just flatten it out on a tray, and you put your mince inside, wrap it up a bit. I mean, this is basically the ingredients that you go. You wrap it up, and then and then you're cooking it, and then you're eating it. So the boys actually quite like that. So that's the empanada one on that one. So that is the Headbangers Kitchen. Now he's very popular because he has a rock kind of theme. He loves rock music. Or is it? No, I was going to say punk, but it's not. It's rock music. And he has so many of these keto style recipes. And like I said, he's got the little videos that go with it as well. He has actually made a change because his YouTube was very popular, but I think he's actually made a change also to sort of move to adding a lot of non-keto recipes, which is just, I mean, it's obvious. His site, his channel, so he can do what he wants. But he still has a number of the low carb ones that you can actually try. And I like it because the thing with Indian food is that there's a lot of spices. So it just adds to the flavor, right? So that's why it's one of my favorite sites. Okay, so that's what I thought I would actually share with you in terms of like just finding meals to make. And I hope you actually enjoyed that. I'm going to, in another half hour or so, there's actually a low carb summit weekend that's happening that I registered for. So I'm going to stay up for a bit, only because it's like I feel still alert, and actually catch some of that, because I was looking at their agenda of what they're going to go through, and they're going to go through quite a few things with like how to get nutritious family style meals, the whole thing about low carb keto myths and all that stuff. So they've got a big panel of various experts around the place. So I will catch some of that. I think there will be recordings. So whatever I actually sort of learn that might be of interest, then I will come on tomorrow, definitely, because I come on every day, and just share a little bit about what they went through, and whether, you know, things that were of interest to me that you might find interesting yourself on that one. But I'll put a link of this Headbangers Kitchen site. There is like another one, I think it's called dietdoctors.com, but I think I've only tried out a couple of their recipes. So that's it for tonight. and things. So have a nice weekend. I'll catch you again online. And yeah, until next time. All right. Bye-bye.